Louisa May Alcott, 1832 to 1888. She was an American writer in the mid to late 19th century. Is considered to be one of the earliest feminist writers. Out of the several books she wrote, her series beginning with Little Women has been hugely popular among the masses and critics alike for a century and a half. Her simple style and lively characters have left a mark and influenced generations of children and adults alike. The setting of her book is the suburbs of Boston. Her worldview is wholesome and full of believable yet charming characters, which captivates the readers. The following extract is from Little Women, first published in 1868. The story of four sisters, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, their friend Laurie, their wise and loving parents of modest means, living in a suburb of a city in the east coast of America, has caught the imagination of generations of readers, young and old alike. Each character is real and distinctive. We remain firmly with the sisters through all their struggles, conflicts, triumphs, and joy. It serves as a guiding light to us in all phases of our lives. The extract affords us a tantalizing glimpse into the book and narrates the beginning of a lifelong friendship between Jo, the brightest and liveliest of the four sisters, and Laurie, their wealthy new neighbor. The March girls and Laurie become best buddies and much more as the book progresses. Being neighborly. "What in the world are you going to do now, Jo?" asked Meg one snowy afternoon as her sister came tramping through the hall in rubber boots, old sack and hood, with a broom in one hand and a shovel in the other. "Going out for exercise," answered Jo with a mischievous twinkle in her eyes. "I should think 2 long walks this morning would have been enough. It is cold and dull out, and I advise you to stay warm and dry by the fire as I do," said Meg with a shiver. "Never take advice. Can't keep still all day and not being a pussycat. I don't like to doze by the fire. I like adventures and I am going to find some." Meg went back to toast her feet and read Ivanhoe, and Jo began to dig paths with great energy. The snow was light, and with her broom she soon swept a path all around the garden, for Beth to walk in when the sun came out, and the invalid dolls needed air. Now the garden separated the Marches' house from that of Mr. Lawrence. Both stood in a suburb of the city, which was still country-like, with groves and lawns, large gardens, and quiet streets. A low hedge parted the two estates. On one side was an old brown house, looking rather bare and shabby, robbed of the vines that, in summer, covered its wall and the flowers which then surrounded it. On the other side was a stately stone mansion, plainly betokening every sort of comfort and luxury, from the big coach house and well-kept grounds to the conservatory and the glimpses of lovely things one caught between the rich curtains. Yet it seemed a lonely, lifeless sort of house, for no children frolicked on the lawn, no motherly face ever smiled at the windows, and few people went in and out except the old gentleman and his grandson. To Jo's lively fancy, this fine house seemed a kind of enchanted place, full of splendors and delights which no one enjoyed. She had long wanted to behold these hidden glories and to know the Lawrence boy, who looked as if he would like to be known, if he only knew how to begin. Since the party she had been more eager than ever, and had planned many ways of making friends with him, but he had not been seen lately, and Jo began to think he had gone away. when she one day spied a brown face at an upper window looking wistfully down into their garden, where Beth and Amy were snowballing one another. The boy is suffering from society and fun, she said to herself. His grandpa does not know what is good for him and keeps him shut up all alone. He needs a party of jolly boys to play with, or somebody young and lively. I have a great mind to go over and tell the old gentleman so. The idea amused Joe, who liked to do daring things and was always scandalizing Meg by her queer performance. The plan of going over was not forgotten, and when the snowy afternoon came, Joe resolved to try what could be done. She saw Mr. Lawrence drive off and then sallied out to dig her way down to the hedge, where she paused and took a survey. All quiet, curtains down at the lower windows, servants out of sight, and nothing human visible but a curly black head leaning on a thin hand at the upper window. There he is, thought Joe. Poor boy, all alone and sick this dismal day. It's a shame. I'll toss up a snowball and make him look out, and then say a kind word to him. Up went a handful of soft snow, and the head turned at once, showing a face which lost its listless look in a minute, as the big eyes brightened and the mouth began to smile. Jo nodded and laughed and flourished her broom as she called out, "How do you do? Are you sick?" Lowry opened the window and cracked out as hoarsely as a raven, "Better, thank you. I have had a bad cold and been shut up a week." "I am sorry. How do you amuse yourself with?" "Nothing. It is as dull as storms up here."